Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to another episode of the Chocolate Shake. Inshallah, today I'd like to talk about learning to live and let live. Yes, that old adage that was taught to us by our grandparents and our parents. Here we are now, right back at it in our lives, realizing that we live in a great, big, beautiful world where people are on this planet now, say about 8 billion or somewhere about that. And all of these people have the same internalizations that we have, the same types of ways of understanding the world, the same types of belief systems. They have the same love for their families, friends, neighbors. All over the planet, Homo sapiens sapien lives that way. So to be able to get along and go along, we have to stay in our lanes, as the young people say, right? We have to learn to stay in our lanes, which again comes back to the old adage, learn to live and let live. With that being said, what we're aiming at when saying that is that we have to learn to respect people's own way of life. Outside of the great religions, outside of the great philosophies, there are people who live their lives as they please. And for the most part, for the human race, right? For the most part, that means you get up every day, you find a way to feed yourself in some type of occupation, some type of job. You take that money, you bring it back to the house, and you use it for your family. You use it to take care of your neighborhood. You use it to take care of your fraternities and sororities. And we live our lives that way. For the most part, that's all it means, is that we get up every day and we take care of the necessary businesses to survive as a species. Sometimes there are people amongst the human race that will do things outside of staying in their lane, and now they will become interlopers. They will become transgressors. They will become line crossers, habitual line crossers. And these people are the ones that are the takers. So they come to take away from those of us who are staying in our lane. Now, those people have to be corrected, and we get that. So what I'm saying today has nothing to do with the habitual line crossers, right? The people who are the interlopers, those people who are the transgressors. I'm speaking today about the vast majority of us who should learn how to stay in our lane in the healthy ways. And of course, we have a great statement that comes from our Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace, for those who are Muslim, that goes something like this, right? I'm going to put in the ballpark. It says that if you're in a ship out in some ocean and everybody's doing fine, but you see that there's one person, for whatever reason, he goes to the bottom of the boat, or the bowels of the boat, and he takes some type of instrument and he starts to make a hole in the bowels of the boat, then you have to stop him. The people on board have to stop that person. You rush down there and you pull that instrument away from him, and you try to subdue that person to make sure that wherever you're trying to get to on those oceans, that you get to your destination, because this person obviously has other plans and he's trying to sink the boat. So you don't allow a person to sink the boat. So you stop him. Okay? So that's natural. That's what we do as human beings, right? We don't let anybody hurt us. We don't let anybody bring the whole ship down, right? So we protect ourselves against that person. However, when that person is on the ship and they're living their lives, they have their cigar and they're sitting in the corner, and that person might say something like, well, I don't agree with your politics, or I don't agree with your religion, or I have no religion. I don't care anything about religion. I don't believe in heaven and hell. I don't believe in all that stuff about prophets. I don't believe in none of that stuff, right? I just believe in being left alone and living my life as I please to live it. Then I think that should be respected, and we should back off of people and let folks live their lives as they please. That's the way that we should live our lives, staying in our own lanes. Coming up as a young man, I found that difficult at times. For the most part, I'm a peaceable and peaceful man, always have been. But sometimes I did find it difficult to hold my tongue on certain political matters, to hold my tongue on certain religious matters, right? Because I can see how people use politics and religion to use people and to control people. And coming from the background that I come from as a Black American, no Black American is going to want to be controlled after going through 350, 400 years of slavery and being second-class citizens in these United States of America. So we have a lot of rebellion in us, Black folks from America. We have a lot of rebellion and pushback in us because of that 300, 400-year sojourn we've had in this country. So we don't like to be told what to do, and we don't like to be handled and manipulated. And that goes for people who use religion to do it, or people who use politics to do it, or whatever other societal levers that people will employ, right, to get you to be controlled. But we also have to have the natural and the ethical ability to make sure that whatever we're doing, we don't become transgressors. So I would always jump into these little arguments about religion. I would jump into these arguments about politics and other societal levers that I thought people might be using to try to abuse my tribe. And of course, there's nothing wrong with that to the degree that we ourselves now don't project back at others that they have to live a certain way because we feel it's necessary to live that way for the protection necessarily of ourselves or our tribes, etc. So you still have to be quite vulnerable when you live in the world. And this is what I'm trying to communicate to anybody that's looking at this video, you young brothers and you young sisters out there. You have to make yourself vulnerable to a degree with your friends, your neighbor, your loved ones, with your enemy and people that you don't know, right? To be human is to be vulnerable to that degree. But that's what we do. You keep an eye open and you allow yourself to stay in your lane while you also allow others to stay in their lane until, again, they grab some type of instrument. They go to the bowels of the boat and they start trying to do some damage. Then you have to stop them. Okay? So I just wanted to remind of this because of an incident that I went through myself on yesterday. And even at my mature age, sometimes we feel the need to try to correct somebody about their beliefs, or we try to manipulate somebody or handle somebody, so to speak, about their beliefs because it makes us quite uncomfortable in our world. It's not a part of a shared worldview, even when it comes from a tribesman, right? So I wanted to make this video to remind that it is important for us to respect others' belief systems, to respect others' lifestyles. Of course, living in a secular society like the United States of America, people have all types of lifestyles. We have had to deal with everybody from the differences in their faiths, the differences in their politics, the differences in their sexuality, the differences in the philosophies they may have. I was just talking to a young man the other day. He's a Hobbian. That's what I call him. He follows the philosophy of Thomas Hobbes. And if you follow that philosophy, then you understand that Thomas Hobbes spoke to nature being that the strongest will be the persons who survive, and that the world naturally is turned over to the stronger man, right? In other words, might makes right. Ethics don't make right. No. There's no God that, that controls the universe that makes right. No. There's no invisible hand, from the spiritual realm that has anything to do with what's right and what's wrong. No. What makes right is that you have the power, that you have the muscle to enforce your way, to force your way on other people's and enforce your philosophies, right? That you could beat a man down into submission, and you could beat the world down into submission. And through that, now that makes right. That's the natural right, right? Not an ethical right or philosophical right. That's a natural right, that you could put another man down and put your foot on his neck. And that makes everything right, because that man can enforce his will where other men cannot against him. Thomas Hobbes. Might makes right. This is a disgusting way, in my opinion, to live our lives as human beings. So, of course, we push back against that philosophy, but it's amazing how even in today's world with nuclear weapons and all types of weapons of mass destruction, the average citizen where I live, I'm here in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia Metro, everybody carries a pistol in this place. Man. Everybody got an AR-15 in Georgia. Everybody. Whether they be left politics, right politics, whether they be atheists or believers, whether they be Catholics or Muslims, everybody in this place where I live carries a weapon, right? AR-15s, AK-47s in the homes, in the closets, and they carry 9mm on their hip, right? Everybody. They're from 18 years old all the way to 100 years old. So when you live in a world like this, we have to understand that it's very important that we stay in our lanes, and we can't take up this Thomas Hobbian view that, might makes right. Because what that's going to give you is a world where the human being will be nothing but an animal. So we eschew those types of worldviews. However, we understand that as we walk about these people, that they believe it. They believe it. And they live by it. So we have to learn even to give them some room, while at the same time keeping an eye on them, right? To make sure they don't get that instrument and get to the bowels of the boat to sink us. All right. So just wanted to bring that up because that was heavy on my mind when I woke up this morning for Salatul Fajr. That is the morning prayer from a conversation that I had last night where I sat with people who didn't believe what I believe. No one in the room believed what I believe. And I have to deal with these people in my life. And I find these individuals to be regular human beings who want for themselves what I want for myself, so long as all of us can share the space called the planet Earth, right? We could share this space on the big blue marble and stay in our lanes best we can. So that's our message today. If you appreciate anything I said, do me a great favor and like this message. And if you have not already, please subscribe to my channel. Y'all take care out there. I love you. Peace.